Wargamer Online, and I'm here with Alex. And
Hello.
He's here to talk about basically the wonderful Arcworlde. And essentially, so Alex came up with sort of the idea, the design, so he's here to talk about it. So Alex, could you tell us a bit about how you sort of came up with this idea and what sort of put your company's games about?
Okay. Well, the entire concept of Arcworlde was founded on my opinion that with most war games, they're a bit too dark, a bit too grim. You know, everyone's going to die at some point, and everyone's covered in like skulls and the flayed skins of their enemies and stuff. And for me, fantasy has always been a much more whimsical thing. One of my biggest inspirations is Discworld and Terry Pratchett, for example. And I like the fairy tale side. I like to have fun. I mean, at the end of the day, we are grown people playing with toy soldiers. It's nothing to get serious about. Am I right? So when I came up with the idea, I started Warplot Miniatures when I was about 17, and I was just sculpting random creatures and started with trolls, dragons, you know, for. And eventually I had this idea for a game, and I wanted it to be quick, fun, and not taken too seriously.
Fantastic.
So, and I'm completely self-taught, so I think my style has always kind of been its own thing. I haven't been taught to sculpt like someone else. It's almost kind of developed, so and that kind of cartoony style, I've been told, it works quite well with the kind of the cartoony, comical feel of the setting.
I would say that actually, because it was actually the models that really caught my eye, because they're so unique, and there's just something so different. There's a lot of fantasy there. So actually, yeah, for me, when I was walking through all of Salute, it was the models that really stood out to me.
Thank you very much.
So you've got these models. Then what was the next step for you? How did you sort of bring about this game?
Well, the next step for me is because I've always been more of a hobbyist rather than a gamer. You know, even when I was younger and I was into games like Warhammer, for example, I much prefer just to kind of play with them, like not play with the model, but make the models, paint the models, stuff like that. So I've never been massively into gaming. I used to be a gamer, but I wasn't that much into it. So my first step after coming up with the concept was finding wiser heads than I to come up with the technical side of it.
Right.
So I've had a number of people help me with rules over the years. The first iteration of Arcworlde was created by a gentleman called Korean Black. Then when I did my Kickstarter in 2013, the next iteration of those rules were co-written with me by a gentleman called James Griffiths, who owns Infamy Miniatures. And then since then, I've had a gentleman called Gobbo, who's a German gentleman who has helped us redesign the rules, write the new stuff for Troubles in the North, which is our most recent expansion, and together we have been working on the next iteration of Arcworlde, which is the second edition.
Okay.
But all this is some kind of arcane mathematical scientific knowledge that is completely out of bounds to someone, a mere mortal like myself. I just like to make pretty toys. But it wouldn't have been possible without the amazing help of those more mathematically minded people who helped design the game.
Fantastic. So Alex, walk us through the game then.
Walk us through the game? Now I am the wrong person to ask that question. So it's a skirmish game. It's a quick game based around the concept of war bands.
Okay.
Now, not factions, because they're two different things. A faction is the different groups in the game. At the moment, we have 6 core factions.
Okay, yeah.
And 3 new ones that have been introduced in the most recent expansion. However, you don't need a faction to play the game. You can also just play as the random monsters that frequent the world of Arcworlde. Because I like monsters. I like making monsters. People like monsters. And it always used to bug me how, in most other games, you would have to, you need this many points to have a monster and stuff. Screw that. If I want a dragon, if I've paid for a dragon, if I've made a dragon, I want to play as a dragon. So you can play as a dragon if you want. And all trolls and things, so it depends on how you want to approach it. If you want to be thematic and if you want to be competitive, you could probably go with a more of a warband structured system. But if you just want to have fun, just be a dragon.
Dragons, phoenixes,
eagles, giants. Like for example, one of the factions in our starter box game is just a troll. He's just a troll stomping around being a menace. He doesn't have any other purpose, he just wants to eat people. That's all it is.
Yeah, anyone that's been watching the channel knows that the biggest gripe I had with Warhammer so I used to play High Elves. Yeah. I don't know if you know much about Warhammer.
Oh no, well Warhammer is how I started. I mean, I was a Lizardman player.
Yeah.
And as with you, I assume, I had to have all these points. I wanted a Carnosaur.
Yeah, I just wanted the big things.
I just wanted the big things, exactly. So it was one of the core design points when I was working with these various people on creating Arcworlde, was that I just want people to be able to play as monsters, which gave Gobbo no amount of headaches. He's like, it's not balanced, and oh god, it's so difficult, and it's like, I don't care, just make it happen. This is like a core belief of mine.
Sounds like my kind of game.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Presumably there's a starter box that you can start with?
There is indeed. It's called Battle for Troll Bridge. It's set around the scenario of 4 factions converging on a bridge, and they've got the troll, who gives the troll bridge its name, who's called Old Grog. He's a big, stinky river troll who's mad about all these people stomping all over his territory. You've got a faction of the human race, which is called the Albionicans, and they're a very kind of Napoleonic style like race. They've got, you know, the very kind of Shakos and the red coats. You've got the halflings, who standard halflings, and you also have a race called the Bay Orcs, which are like a swamp orc. They get very much sort of like a deep South Louisiana Bayou vibe, and they just want to cause havoc. And it's all about them converging on this one place, and you can decide what matchups you want, what alliances or what rivalries you want, and it gives 4 people the option to play.
Fantastic.
In that box you get the core rulebook, a mini rulebook, because there's a few characters and models which are just in that box, and then you've got the dice, the tokens that you use to play the game, and also you get a nice little foam thing that you can slot the models in once they've been painted up. So everything is in one box, so it's great to take to like gaming clubs and stuff like that to try and get people into the game, because we all know that when you're starting a new game, one of the difficult things is trying to get your friends to play it. You don't want to buy a game and think, what do I do if no one else plays it around me? This way, you have enough for 4 people to play. So it's a really good way, I think, to get other people into games.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to check it out. And yeah, we'll be taking some videos of the models so we can show you just how pretty they are. And yeah, thanks ever so much, Alex. Check it out.